Good evening and welcome to Northwest Newsweek. MPP Michael Gravelle made his first public appearance this week since the veteran politician was forced to take an extended leave of absence back in February to deal with depression. The Minister of Northern Development and Mines said the last 5 months were tough, but he's ready to get back to work representing the riding and his ministry. Christina Jung has the details.
Just over 5 months ago, I did announce that I was stepping aside as Minister of Northern Development and Mines to deal with depression. This time has given me the opportunity to work more closely with my health team to better understand the struggle I've been experiencing and how best to heal and recover.
That was the first message MPP Michael Gravelle told the media, his supporters and constituents. Here outside the Service Ontario building, Gravelle made his first appearance since February to not only announce his return to work, but also give the community an update on the state of his health.
I believe that that the work that I've done over the last 5 months has been incredibly important to me understanding better this particular struggle. People don't talk about a great deal. I felt it was important for me to be honest when I took leave as to the reasons I was taking leave. One of the things I was able to reflect upon while I was on leave was how much this job meant to me and how much it means to me to represent as strongly as I can my constituents in Thunder Bay, Superior North.
Which is why the minister wasted no time in returning to his duties as the Minister of Northern Development and Mines. After a quick update on his health and a thank you to his supporters, Minister Gravelle launched a new initiative that will help plant close to 15,000 eastern white pine seed pods in Ontario.
The eastern white pine is the official tree of the province of Ontario, and we want to be able to regreen the province. And this summer, as part of celebrating Canada and Ontario's 150th birthday, we are distributing eastern seedling pods. And I'm just glad to be able to use this as an opening to me returning to my ministry.
And on his first day back, Gravelle also announced that he will once again be seeking re-election for 2018. But first, the minister says he will slowly be transitioning back to work and catching up on the issues that affect the community. Christina Jung, TBT News.
And after Monday's announcement in Thunder Bay, Gravelle set out along the North Shore to tour the region and meet with municipal representatives. The first stop on his tour was at the Nipigon River Bridge to discuss his prize project. Adam Riley caught up with the minister and files this report.
For his first official tour since returning to duty as the Minister of Northern Development and Mines, MPP Michael Gravelle spent some time Monday on a site visit of the Nipigon River Bridge. Along with Minister Gravelle was his Deputy Minister for Northern Development and Mines, David Delaunay, for the up-close tour on the deck structure of the second span. Gravelle says he is proud of this project and is amazed by the finer details of the construction process.
That was tremendous, and to see how fast they were able to put those concrete decks together, the methods by which they use it, it was impressive. To look at the actual cables themselves and how they are so finely tuned to make sure they work appropriately, and everything is done to it like a fine-tooth comb.
Gravelle adds he is also impressed with how far the project has come despite some setbacks.
This particular project, we expect to have it hopefully open for traffic in 2018. The permanent retrofit for the problem they had with the bridge last year is still being worked on, and that work is being done as we speak. This is one of the real special projects and one that I'm very proud of.
The tour was led by MTO's Manager of Operations for the Northwest, Gary Weiss, who described to the ministers the technical specifications for the bridge as they toured the site. Weiss says it's great to show off the work being done, especially as the project has been something the minister has been dedicated to for so long.
Well, Minister Gravelle has been a champion of the four-lane between Thunder Bay and Nipigon for many, many years now. So it's nice to have him back and have him out here and get him to see this great project that we have going on.
After the tour, Gravelle and Delaunay met with council members of the Red Rock Indian Band, the Nipigon Council, and the Red Rock Council, respectively. Mayor Gary Nelson says during these last 6 months, Gravelle's presence has been genuinely missed.
You know, he's an MPP that even if you have a problem meeting with another minister, he gets you that appointment. He's looked after the North Shore for quite a few years. And when he was off here now for 6 months, we really missed him. When I found out the other day that he was back, I thought, boy, when I see him, I'm going to give him a big hug.
Gravelle continued his tour of the region on Tuesday with a visit to Greenstone Gold's Hard Rock project south of Geraldton. Adam Riley, TBT News.
A North Spirit Lake man is facing charges in connection with the death of a 2-year-old girl. The toddler was brought to the community's nursing station on June 13th, where she was pronounced dead. The girl has been identified as Aria Rose Ray. Naps police called the OPP to assist with the investigation. And following a post-mortem conducted in Toronto, police have charged 34-year-old Norman Ray with criminal negligence causing death, failing to provide the necessities of life, and abandoning a child. Ray appeared in court in Kenora on Friday. The City of Thunder Bay has signed a statement of commitment to First Nation youth and families. The joint document, that was also signed by Fort William First Nation and Anishinaabe officials, recognizes an existing crisis of racial tension, violence, and systemic racism against First Nations people in the city. As Luisa Alvarez tells us, the signing is seen as a positive first step.
They say the first step to recovery is first admitting you have a problem. And for the first time, a signed document by city officials recognizes in writing the issues faced by First Nation people in Thunder Bay. One part of the written statement reads, "Systemic racism exists in Thunder Bay and must be dismantled, with appropriate accountability by all organizations, institutions, and members of the community." Nan Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler says admitting to the crisis felt among Indigenous people was a crucial move.
I think it's a significant step forward towards addressing the needs or the concerns that have been expressed by our students and our families.
The statement of commitment is a response to a call from Fiddler to Fort William First Nation and the City of Thunder Bay to declare a state of emergency following several incidents involving Indigenous youth and a concern for their safety. But after finding out that request did not meet provincial legislation, city officials said this document became a more fitting solution to solving the issues by working together.
To me, it's not that we haven't worked together before, but this adds something else to that, an added scope on working together and make certain that we provide a safe environment for people in Thunder Bay.
The statement of commitment to First Nation youth and families, signed by all three representatives, solidifies a collaboration in a long road to changing the city's landscape.
The next step is changing racism in Thunder Bay, and there's a lot of work that we have to do together on that. And it's a challenging trend to change, but I mean, we have to work together to change that.
Collins adds the statement symbolizes peace, change, and the opportunity to grow together. Luisa Alvarez, TBT News.
An extended investigation by the OPP in Armstrong has led to several arrests. The case involves a number of break-ins, thefts, and arsons in that community and in Gull Bay over the last 9 months. 3 men aged 22, 19, and 18, along with 2 youth, all from Gull Bay, have been charged. The 5 accused are scheduled to appear before a justice of the peace in Armstrong to face a long list of charges. Poor track conditions were behind a 2015 train derailment in northeastern Ontario. That's according to a new report from the Transportation Safety Board. The investigation found the derailment near the community of Gogama happened after a recently repaired track broke under the CN train. A dye test to find defects wasn't performed after the repairs. That is required by CN standards.
Was the fact that a rail plug had been installed to replace a defective piece of track 3 days earlier. That rail broke 3 days later after 44 trains had already passed over it. And we identified some systemic issues with CN's training of its staff.
The report also says Transport Canada should use predictive data to better target track inspections. Northwest Region OPP are concerned about a steep rise in fatal collisions on area highways. The latest numbers show there have been nearly 3 times as many deaths so far this year compared to 2016. Since January 1st, OPP officers have responded to 11 fatal motor vehicle collisions on provincial highways in the Northwest, compared to 4 at this time last year. Only 2 of this year's fatal crashes involved alcohol, and just under half involved commercial vehicles. The stats also show that 90% of fatal collisions this year occurred on clear days and weather wasn't a factor. Staff Sergeant Ken Manty says some drivers may actually pay more attention in poor conditions.
People, when it's raining or snowing, road conditions aren't the greatest, you're concentrating on your driving. And we're not seeing the collisions that we see when it's a day like today, weather's nice, visibility's good. Maybe we're paying a little bit of attention to something else instead of what we should be doing.
Manti notes over 70% of fatal collisions happen between 7 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, but he adds that's not uncommon, as that's when highways are usually busiest. Coming up after the break, the city of Dryden gets some shocking news regarding the value of the Domtar mill. Stay tuned. The final impact number is in from a 2016 assessment of the Domtar mill in Dryden, and it's not nearly as high as members of City Council believe it should be. Adam Riley has the story.
The Domtar mill in Dryden, according to the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, is now only worth $17 million. That's down $5 million from its last assessment in 2012. MPAC presented this information to Dryden's administration during last month's council meeting. It's a decision that has left many in the community of 8,000 at odds with the agency. Mayor Greg Wilson says he and several members of council took issue with the process of how the assessment was finalized.
We weren't consulted as much as we could have been, and that our considerations for having a higher valued mill were not really heard.
MPAC's regional manager for municipal and stakeholder relations for Northern Ontario, Mary Dawson-Cole, says the consultations were part of a newer special business property review.
This was a new process. It was the first time that we've gone through the disclosure process in this manner. It was an opportunity, to look at the values early, to have just communications up front before the final values were definitely returned.
However, Councillor Norm Bush, who at one time was the manager of the Domtar mill, says these communications weren't well established. Commenting to Dawson-Cole, he says the process in many ways focused more on the consultation between MPAC and industry and left the municipality in the dark.
We feel like we were just the recipients of decisions made, and well, here's our latest assessment. Well, where did that come from? And then we would have to make calls and find out, well, what's the assumption behind this? What's the assumption behind that? And going from $120 a square foot to 88, I don't think we still have a good explanation of how we go from there to there.
Bush and others from council, as well as the city's administrative branch, gave suggestions on how to improve the process during the next assessment period scheduled for 2020. And while the city accepts the end results, Wilson says the value that has been presented is laughable.
Under $90 a square foot for building in Dryden, commercial or otherwise, it's just, anybody on the street would laugh at somebody coming up with throwing that figure at you.
Adam Riley, TBT News.
It was a short-lived escape attempt for a prisoner at the Dryden courthouse Wednesday. A According to Dryden Police, a 26-year-old man was before the bench for a bail hearing when he attempted to flee from the courtroom. He didn't get far, though, before being apprehended by court officers. The Rainy River man is now facing an additional charge of escaping lawful custody. Well, there won't be any students attending Red Rock's public elementary school this fall, but the Superior Greenstone School Board already has plans for the vacant building. Red Rock Public School was closed at the end of June due to very low enrollment numbers. This fall, most of the dozen or so students will attend George O'Neill Public School in nearby Nipigon. But the Red Rock building won't be vacant when the next school year begins. Director of Education David Tamblin says they've decided to convert it into a conference center. Currently, the board has a similar office based out of George O'Neill, but with the students transferring over, that area will be needed for classroom space. Tamblin says some slight modifications will be completed in time for the new school year. There's fun and excitement scheduled along the North Shore all summer long. Preparations are underway for the 2017 Live from the Rock Folk Festival. The annual event will see hundreds of music lovers descend upon the small hamlet of Red Rock, west of Nipigon. For 15 years, the festival, put on by volunteers, has been bringing musical acts and artisans into the community to entertain the public over the course of 3 days. This year, festival goers can see shows on multiple stages and even sit in for some impromptu jam sessions. Over the past couple years, the festival has fallen upon hard times, but organizers like Liz Harvey Folds feel they've weathered the storm. She's looking forward to bringing the fun back this year.
And the festival really has a life of its own. It's an example of a homegrown, community-based event. And we're Northerners. Northerners don't quit. So when things get rough, everybody pitched in. And we're still, it's always on rocky ground.
I'm excited to see this coming again this year. Like I say, a couple of years ago, it just about went down the tubes. But now it's back and going strong, simply because of the committee they got there running that right now. I'm sure they've got a good showing for this year again.
This year's Live from the Rock Folk Festival runs next Friday to Sunday. After months of uncertainty, the town of Red Rock finally has a new restaurant. For some time, the restaurant area of the Red Rock Interpretive Center has sat vacant, waiting for a tenant. Now, an entrepreneur from nearby Nipigon has opened up the Shipwreck Cafe. Owner Gloria Brennan says the response to the restaurant has been amazing, adding since the grand opening a week ago, the cafe has been busy nearly every day.
The community have been amazing. There's so much, they're so happy that they have a place to come to. They make me feel good because they say the food is excellent. The support, unbelievable. They're amazing. I can't say enough about how they welcomed me and my family to come here.
Yeah, we're quite happy with Gloria opening this restaurant up. My wife and I came in here Saturday for opening day and for cake and coffee, and the place was full. And it's something Red Rock badly needs.
The restaurant will remain open until the building closes at the end of the tourism season. Economic development for the Red Rock Indian Band just east of Nipigon is growing into a whole new market. Several months ago, the band acquired the Chalet Lodge as part of an addition to the reserve, which received royal assent in June. As renovations are carried out on the property in anticipation of the economic opportunities to come, another band-owned business has also sprung up. The Lake Helen Gas and Variety Store, located along Highway 11, is the latest acquisition. Councillor Matt Dupuis says it was the next logical step in the community's quest to become self-sustainable.
Ideally, what we just want to do is grow and offer those opportunities to membership to be able to come to work. And for the First Nation in that, in growing, I mean, right now with students and other contracts, we are over 100 employees, so including all of our businesses. It's just one of the next initiatives that this Chief and Council wanted to pursue to grow.
The gas station employs 14 people. Coming up next, while efforts to control wildfires in BC continue, the MNR says northwestern Ontario has the potential to become a tinderbox. Recent high temperatures in the region, coupled with scattered thunderstorm activity and a lack of precipitation, is beginning to take a toll on our woodlands. The Northwest, along with much of Ontario, is under a high to extreme fire hazard, and the province has been placed under a fire hazard alert. Molly Fromer explains.
Most of Ontario is currently under a high extreme fire hazard alert. Only a few isolated areas are presently classed as low or moderate risk. Acting MNR Emergency Management Advisor Tim Neufeld says with the limited rainfall over the past few weeks, the risk has slowly been climbing across the province. 80 active fires are currently burning in Ontario. 10 of those are under control, 8 are being held, and 22 are considered not under control at all. The other 40 are under observation.
There's a cold front moving through from the northwest section of the province into the province right now. That's expected to bring with it multiple fire starts and high winds to potentially increase the current fire situation that we're experiencing. We're getting anywhere from 30 to 40 new fire starts a day right now. Many of these fires are proving challenging to suppress, requiring multiple crews and air attack. We had 31 new fires reported in the province yesterday, 28 in the northwest region and 3 in the east.
Over 30 additional helicopters and 40 Type 2 Ranger crews have recently been hired to assist with Ontario's fire suppression. As of today, no additional resources will be deployed to BC, as all resources are needed for fire suppression here at home.
The fires are of concern in that we are experiencing 30 to 40 starts a day, obviously. But as of current, our resources are adequate for responding to these fires. We're implementing or rather we're relocating resources from the east portion of the province to the west in anticipation of more starts. Lightning will ignite those forest fires, and we're seeing that now, where all these fires that we're experiencing are all lightning-caused fires.
Neufeld wants all residents to be aware of the dry conditions and to make sure they're checking their website, ontario.ca/forestfire, for current hazards in our area. Molly Fromer, TBT News.
Downtown Fort Frances is getting a bit of a facelift. A new market square, which will sit upon the former grounds of the Rainy Lake Hotel, is being constructed on Scott Street. Mayor Roy Avis says it's part of a downtown revitalization project. Once complete, the square will be able to host a number of community events, including bands and festivals.
An old hotel on that site, and it was condemned. It was sitting there, and we thought we took it down, and we wanted to do something that was good for tourism as well as for the community and citizens to enjoy. And so it's a market square. It's going to be a beautiful setting in the downtown core when it's done.
Avis says the sidewalks on both sides of Scott Street are also having the brickwork redone as well. A 33-year-old Manitoba man is in some hot water with the OPP and his employer after being charged with stunt driving in the Chapel Township area with a company vehicle. On Sunday, July 30th, officers with the Rainy River OPP observed a vehicle being driven 50 kilometers an hour over the posted speed limit. The man's license was suspended for 7 days, and the company truck he was driving was impounded for the same length of time. He'll appear in Fort Frances Court on September 15th to answer to the charge. Lakehead University's Aboriginal Mentorship Program has received a big donation from the co-founder of Tim Hortons Restaurant. Ron Joyce and the Joyce Family Foundation have given $1 million to LU, allowing the program to continue providing Aboriginal youth with access to post-secondary education in perpetuity. The university works to match funders with their interests. LU Vice Provost Peggy Smith says the Aboriginal Mentorship Program was a good match for the Joyce Foundation, which has previously funded programs at other Canadian universities to help disadvantaged youth.
I really like the Aboriginal Mentorship Program for the opportunities it's giving Indigenous youth to become familiar with our programming, to look at university as a future possibility, and it was a match.
If we can maintain the rest of our funding, we can certainly bring several more students, probably. In the last year, we've worked with about 3,000 youth, and this will help us to bring those numbers up to possibly 4,000 or 5,000.
The unique program at Lakehead aims to remove barriers for Indigenous youth who lack resources to access post-secondary education. And that'll do it for this edition of Northwest Newsweek. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.